And in it, he said the train has to keep going, and it stuck with me because yes, the train has to keep going. Yes, you have to push through. Yes, you have to show up for the people that you love, the people that depend on you. But what really got me thinking was the idea that eventually a broken train is going to break down. There's no way around it. If you don't fix and assess the problem, eventually it shows up in other ways, in other areas of life. There's no escaping it. So today I was watching a podcast, it's called I Am Athlete. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what it is. And they were talking about vulnerability and being real and being, especially for men, being able to be vulnerable, being able to be in touch with those emotions. I think it's so important to recognize that every single human being, regardless of what you see on the outside and what you see on the surface level, every single human being has had their worst day. They have been through the trenches. They have literally faced some of the shittiest things they will ever go through in this lifetime. And a lot of the time that's alone. It's either alone or with a few close friends, a few close family members. But a lot of the pain and struggle that we endure it's all happening here and here. It's all in our heart and our minds, and it's something that we experience alone. In this podcast, what really did it for me was just seeing grown men talk so deeply about, their feelings and what they had going on and loss that they had experienced. And regardless of what you have going on in your life, what you've experienced versus the next person versus your friend versus whoever, everybody has those down days. Everybody has those moments that are absolutely heart-wrenching. It doesn't matter who you are, you will experience them. And it really made me think of, as a society, how we're really taught to mask so much. Mask what we're truly feeling, mask what's going on. And I myself am absolutely guilty of this. I come from an extremely strong and independent mother who comes from another extremely strong and independent mother who then came from another extremely strong and independent mother. And I think it's one of the greatest blessings I've ever had. It's something that's made me who I am today, but that you have to recognize that there's also downsides to that. There's also going to be struggles. There's strength and struggles in those specific qualities that are inherited down generation to generation to generation. And I guess in this lifetime, I've learned a little bit more about being vulnerable and how we talk about vulnerability. And I know it's not always perceived as weakness, even though sometimes it can be. I think the biggest thing that we need to remember is being vulnerable is actually being honest. It's not necessarily this thing that we have to look within. It's how we're genuinely feeling. It's how we're genuinely doing. And on the podcast, they were just talking about, like, in general, how men don't necessarily talk about what's going on and especially those tough times. And I think it's so important because we all have to do a better job at opening up to the people that we genuinely trust and genuinely invest in. And I think it's important to know that you as a human being would want your friends to come to you with something that you have going on. And if you want that, you have to give that. And I've always been somebody that I can handle it myself, don't worry about it, but I really genuinely appreciate the people in my life that have made such a conscious effort to show up and to just kind of stand out and make it known that they're there for me if I need anything, or show up during hard times. Like, those are the things that you absolutely never forget. And having a support system really is so huge. Having a support system makes you feel loved and appreciated, and it makes you feel like you have people that genuinely have your back. And I'm just now reflecting on how little that happens. And especially with everything with Corona this year, obviously it's, in some ways the most disconnected we've been. And I'm a true believer that true relationships is what makes this life worth living. It's so important. It's everything. Your family, your friends, the people that you count on when you're down, that count on you when they're down, the people that you enjoy life with, you experience life with, you have fun with. Like, these are some of the most important things in your life, and they should be so high on your priority list. And we just are leaving a year that has been absolutely insane, insanely disconnected. And what I wanted to kind of get across today is, in the podcast, Ocho Cinco had said that he was talking about, you know, his mom recently passing and how that was challenging for different reasons. And he kind of gave that analogy that the train has to keep going. And that really stuck with me, because I'm thinking to myself, eventually a broken train is going to break down. It's inevitable. There's no way out of it. Like, if something really affects you, it affects you. And whether you're masking it well or not, eventually that slips into other areas of your life that you may not want it to slip into. So handling things head first is the only way to handle them. And that's going to take that level of vulnerability and honesty with yourself and with all of the people that you trust, that support you, around you, in order to truly heal. And I don't think that healing is linear. I don't think that there's a start and a stop date. I think it's like grieving. I always say that it comes in waves. Some days it's going to be really hard. Some days it's going to be really easy. But I think honoring that back and forth, that up and down, that wave-like motion, I think honoring that is the best way to deal with it, is the best way to grieve. Because if you don't honor it and you fight it, you're fighting what you genuinely feel inside and what's real for you. And if you're fighting this process, you're not allowing yourself to heal in the way that you know you need to heal. And I believe with everything in me that we are always going to be better as a team. We are always going to be better as a unit. We are always going to be better as partners than we would be alone. And even though it's extremely hard to let your guard down and to let people in and to be, like I said, open and honest and vulnerable with people, it's essential in not just your healing, but also your growth. In order to be a better person, in order to have a more fulfilling life, you have to master this area of your life. You have to be able to give and take. You have to ask for help. You have to be there for others. It's just one of the laws of the universe. So with that being said, I do just want to say that for all of the people out there, men and women, the people who have been not in touch with their emotions, the people who have handled things in silence, alone, I just want to say, I respect the hell out of you guys. It is not easy. And I'm sure, just like anything else, it's like a lot of the times you do these things for other people to make sure that other people are handled and other people are given that space. But I think the biggest act of self-love is when you realize that you should be getting what you so freely give. So that is my little message for the day. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day, and I will talk to you soon.